Judge Kenneth Lester setting bond for George Zimmerman at $150,000. Also a number of stipulations as well. An electronic monitoring GPS system. Also no contact with the victims' families. No possession of firearms. No alcohol. A curfew was set by the judge as well. Zimmerman not going to be allowed to be out between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. He'll also have to check in every 3 days as well. We should also note here that George Zimmerman will not be released today as well. There are a number of things that need to be worked out, but the headline, bond set at $150,000 for George Zimmerman charged with second-degree murder in the killing of Trayvon Martin. I want to go ahead and bring in former U.S. Attorney now, Kendall Coffey. Kendall, you have a great deal of experience with cases like this based on what you saw and what you heard. Are you surprised at all by what the judge decided there in terms of bond and the stipulations?
Not surprised at all. It was a very reasonable decision. And you saw that from the very beginning with the judge's pronouncement of his decision, he made it clear this is going to be treated within the full power that he can, like other cases. And he was very matter of fact in describing the elements of granting bond. And frankly, it's the kind of bond you would expect in a second-degree murder case like this. I think it's a fair result. And while it is clearly an important victory for the defense, the prosecution, I think, very plainly did not show all their cards. They went with a rather limited showing of their evidence. I think we can continue to assume that they've got more evidence and that they are holding back because sooner or later there's going to be a stand-your-ground hearing where the defense will try to have this entire case thrown out under Florida stand-your-ground law. The prosecutor is keeping some cards inside their vest because they know that's going to be a very big battle.
All right, Kendall Coffey. Kendall, stand by for me if you can, please, sir. I want to go ahead and bring in our correspondent, our man on the scene down there, Kerry Sanders, outside the courthouse there. Kerry, what's next at this point for George Zimmerman, or do we know what's next?
Well, we do know that he is going to be escorted to the jail, and the jail is connected right here to the courthouse. So he will go back there. He will be taken out of the civilian clothes. You may have noticed that his hands were in manacles, and he'll go back to his solitary cell. Then there will be the process where we hear the discussion between the state attorney's office, the court, and most importantly, the sheriff here, because they're going to put a monitoring device on George Zimmerman if he actually makes the bail, if he can post the $150,000 bond, and we anticipate that has been worked out in advance. And so the real concern about that monitoring device is that there needs to be a real sense that that is a secure piece of equipment. The Sheriff's Department has been going back over their records of some of the other devices that have been used in the past, and there are some concerns and fears about being able to hack into it, not by the person wearing it, but rather by people from the outside hacking into the software and then locating where somebody is. And clearly they want to make sure that Mr. Zimmerman's location is kept on very tight rein, only to those in the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Sheriff's Office, and then the prosecutor. And of course, we assume that the family and Mark O'Mara, the defense attorney, would know where their client is. So they have to work some of that out. So for the Martin family, you know, you've got Tracy Martin here and Sabrina Fulton, who sat in the court, were not given the opportunity to speak. They are just the family members of the 17-year-old victim in this case. They were whispering during the presentation today, looking at each other, at times looking away, looking over
and
towards...
Kerry, just not to cut you off here, but we've got George, while you're speaking, we're showing a live picture here of the Martin family actually leaving the courthouse there, as you mentioned. But go ahead, continue.
Okay, well, with them is their attorney, Ben Crump, and I will probably wind up speaking to him a little bit later today. But the family actually opposed the idea of bond. They were, as you know, pushing very hard for an arrest, and now, as they're leaving the court and, you know, quite frankly, surrounded by a lot of cameras and reporters as they're making way to their vehicle. I'm not sure whether they're commenting because I'm here, but they had indicated that they probably would not speak. They oppose the release because they fear that somehow that suggests something about their son, right, and whether he was confrontational rather than George Zimmerman. But, this is sort of the legal process, and as the family member of the victims, you see that while they're afforded the opportunity to come in and the special arrangements are made to give them seats and everything else, it's not necessarily that their voices are heard in a hearing like the one today.
All right, Kerry Sanders for us in Sanford, Florida today. Kerry, thank you so much.